Welcome to lesson 14 of unit C.2, which is the final lesson in our lightning journey. My name is Dan Ondisi and I use OpenSciEd in my classroom. We've spent a lot of time diving into the mechanics of electrical charges and fields, and this 3-day lesson is where we finally put all those pieces together. We need to look back briefly at what we accomplished to understand exactly where our students' heads are as they step into the room for the start of lesson 14. In lesson 13, we figured out the exact chemistry of why water conducts electricity when salt ions are pulled apart by permanently polar water molecules. I found that once students understand how this creates a conducting electrolyte solution, they naturally start transitioning to real-world safety. They know why a lake is dangerous, but they are left wondering why a house, with all its metal plumbing and water pipes, is actually a safe place to be. That unresolved uncertainty is the perfect runway for what we are going to do in lesson 14. So let's take a look through the structural blueprint of how these days play out in our classrooms. This is a 3-day high synthesis lesson. The material preparation is pretty light, only about 25 minutes, and there are no hands-on lab setups, no devices required, and no simulation videos to load. Your logistics here are entirely about managing handouts, setting up chart paper, and making sure your driving question board is ready to go. I mapped this lesson out into 2 distinct sense-making loops to keep the progression clear. The first loop covers parts 1 through 6, where the kids brainstorm, build a class consensus checklist, develop individual models, read about safety, and engage in peer feedback. The second loop takes place in parts 7 through 9, where we shift to reflecting on our accomplishments and completing the individual transfer task. In the first sense-making loop, the kids are building a consensus gotta have a checklist, developing individual models, and exchanging peer feedback to revise their work. What they are figuring out are the actual mechanisms and components that explain why we stay away from water and why structures with lightning rods or indoor plumbing protects us. This is where they take invisible subatomic concepts and map them straight onto real-world survival strategies. After finalizing these models, they naturally begin to wonder how much progress they've actually made on the driving question board. In the second sense-making loop, students are physically evaluating the driving question board, marking off answered questions, and sitting in a scientist circle. Then they complete a transfer task regarding airplanes and conducting gels before wrapping up with unit reflection. Through this, they figure out that they have answered a massive portion of their own questions and can use their molecular understanding to explain entirely novel design materials. They finish by wondering about any remaining questions and how they will use these skills in the next unit. By the time we finish the lesson, students will have modeled the subatomic and macroscopic mechanisms for water safety and lightning rods, and they'll see a clear visual record of their own progress across the unit. Now let's pivot to the key moments in this lesson. The first key moment happens in part 2, when the class builds a consensus gotta have a checklist. Students are debating in a large group, looking at their past data, and deciding which components and interactions must be included to explain safety. The checklist serves as a crucial scaffolding and ensures students aren't staring at blank page when it's time to model independently. I watch closely to make sure the class converges on the necessary mechanisms before moving on. In part 3, students are sitting independently, drawing and writing to develop their lightning system models. They are using patterns at multiple scales to illustrate causal mechanisms, drawing the subatomic charges to explain macroscopic safety, and this is a major synthesis moment because it showcases their growth since lesson 1. One thing I watch for here is how comfortably they apply subatomic structures to real-world macroscopic phenomenon. It really highlights how their thinking has evolved. During part 6, the classroom turns into an active workshop where students are in small groups, physically walking each other through their models and using a rubric or protocol to exchange constructive peer feedback. This is significant because it's a direct practice of communicating scientific information, and what I like to watch for here is how students use their peers' perspectives to catch gaps in their own logic or deepen the articulation of interactions before finalizing their models. The final key moment is part 8, where students are independently working through the airplane transfer task. They are looking at technical text and diagrams about airplane structures and conducting gels. This allows students to demonstrate if they can successfully transfer their understanding of molecular level structures to explain the functioning of entire new design materials. Let's talk through some practical classroom tested strategies that have worked well for me while navigating the specific 3 days of lesson 14. I found that it's important to actively remind students that the consensus gotta have a checklist is a resource they co created and are fully allowed to rely on it. Something that helps is pointing directly to it on the wall before they begin modeling individually. It heavily reduces the threat and anxiety that some students experience when asked to build a complex multi lesson synthesis model from scratch. This will also be an access point for you as the teacher to start conversations with students who are struggling or students you want to push to make a more advanced connection beyond just the essentials. When you introduce the Who is Safe reading, be mindful that it addresses global inequalities and lightning fatalities, specifically tying safety to urbanization and modern indoor plumbing. This can evoke some deep anxieties or strong feelings, especially if your local community has experienced severe weather. One thing I like to do is acknowledge these observations without discounting their emotions. If you notice students struggling with weather related anxieties, don't hesitate to engage a school counselor or building expert to support them. With the airplane transfer task, it's important to separate the two distinct parts, and I highly recommend keeping them separate when making copies rather than stapling them together. Time is intentionally built into the lesson for a brief class discussion right before each part is administered. Hand out part one, hold the brief discussion to reduce the reading complexity, let them complete it, and then repeat the process for part two. This keeps the cognitive load manageable for the students. For poster management, you'll need to resurface the drive-in question boards so that it's fully accessible for reflection in Part 7. Logistically, you also want to create a couple temporary records on chart paper or digital slides, one for the initial brainstorm list of safe and unsafe structures, and another for the public record of the consensus gotta have a checklist. That brings us to the end of the road. At this stage, your students now fully understand the invisible subatomic forces and macroscopic fields that govern electrical discharge and real world safety. Looking ahead, many of their unanswered driving question board questions about specific bonding details will naturally carry over into Unit C3. So we don't want to spoil those answers just yet. Thank you for walking through this planning session with me, and a huge congratulations to you and your students for finishing C2.